What's up, y'all? This is Alex from the Rim Review. The Rim Review is a page that offers in-depth player analysis and gives nuance to the way you watch basketball. In this series, we're going to be going over every single prospect in the upcoming NBA drafts, some of which you may already know. However, there are going to be numerous hidden gems we explore in the coming weeks. In today's episode, we're going to be exploring one of those hidden gems in the 6'6 forward out of San Francisco, Jonathan Mogbo. When looking at Mogbo's offensive game, there are a few strengths that stand out. The first of which is his passing and his ability to run a delay offense. Mogbo is going to play as an undersized 4 in the NBA, maybe even a 5, but I'd be shocked if that happened. But at that position, he has great passing with a 2.05 assist to turnover ratio. San Francisco very frequently would hit Mogbo on the elbow and let him go to work and hit cutters and have other false action occur on the opposite side. This is something similar to what the Sacramento Kings do with Domantas Sabonis, and I could see Mogbo maybe playing that role in the NBA. Secondly is his ability to get offensive rebounds. Even though Mogbo is undersized and only 6'6", he is gritty, and it has led to him having 3.2 offensive rebounds per game and a plethora of offensive rebound putbacks and some highlight dunks. Finally, he's a really solid athlete, and he runs hard and has a great vertical leap, which also makes him a lob threat. There are still some pretty big weaknesses to Mogbo's game. The first of which is his shooting, where he did not make a single shot from beyond the arc last season, and even more of a concern is the fact that he had some awkward touch shots that just didn't look good. Mogbo is not a shooter, and he's not even close to one, and you're not going to see him have that threat in the NBA. That's a big concern for many scouts because A, he's undersized, so he's already not offering some of the things that other bigs would do, and by not being able to shoot, it can allow teams to pack the paint and help off him significantly. Secondly, he is very out of control on a lot of drives. Oftentimes I've seen him lose his balance and he's just trying to kind of barrel over guys and use his strength to get by on straight line drives, and oftentimes it will lead to charges and just bad results. He was like a 5'11 guard at one point in high school, so he's very much still learning how to use his body and frame. Finally, he has a really bad tendency to settle for bad looks. Oftentimes when teams are gapping off him, he'll just settle for a long mid-range, which is a bad shot in general, but when you cannot shoot at all, it is one of the worst shots you can take in basketball, and time again, I would see him face up, take one jab, and settle for a really bad shot early in the shot clock. Now, let's get into the film and watch Mogbo play. On this possession, he's going to get a rebound and showcase his handle going coast to coast. Initially, he's bumped and has a bad shot, but wow, look at that follow-up. This perfectly summarizes his game. A little out of control drive, but pure hustle to get that dunk and flex on him after. On this possession, he has a really awesome rebound there and accelerates, but just takes an out of control shot. Maybe he has a dump off here, but what I love seeing is just look at him go get this rebound. Great play. Good acceleration, his handle is really good for a big, and he just takes not the best shot. He's also able to rim run in transition, and we're going to see that here. He has multiple Bethesda defenders in front of him, yet he runs hard and has an insane leaping ability for this lob dunk. On this next possession, Mogbo is going to run hard once again in transition. Now he's sealing as there's a shorter man on him, so he has a great mismatch, and it leads to an easy finish. His passing ability is also really exciting, and I love seeing him make reads like this with a great pass ahead in transition. There are guards that don't make that pass, so seeing that from a big is awesome. We're going to look at some more passing here, as he just does a really great job. San Francisco almost all the time would just give him the ball on the elbow and then have these three guys over here just go to work. So here they're going to run a Bilbao action. A Bilbao is basically a stagger right here when this guy decides to twirl and go in between. So he goes in between the stagger and gets an easy layup. On this possession, it's going to be another instance of San Francisco giving him the ball on the elbow and then letting him go to work, and just great passing there. It's this type of vision that is awesome to see. They also gave him the ball frequently in a delay series. We're going to see that right here as he flashes up, and whenever the ball is thrown back up to a big at the top of the key, that's considered to be delay. So he gets the ball here for delay, takes a couple dribbles in, and then just has a smooth pass to a cutter. I really feel like this passing is super exciting. On this next possession, Mogbo is once again going to get the ball in delay. Now he's going to look to drive, and because he has such a good change of direction to get by this man, it forces this defender to help off strong side corner, and Mogbo makes a great kick for an easy 3. Right here, we're going to see Mogbo look to score for himself as he gets the ball, rip through, and has a nice finish. I love these types of straight line drives for him because it lets you know that there is a little bit more to his ability to score. Right here, he faces up, rips through, and just bullies his man to get to the rim. Unfortunately, his touch is still lacking, and it's going to require some work. We're going to see him right here get the ball in delay, and then he's going to drive. But as you see, once he's bumped right here, he tries to just flick up a touch shot, and it just looks awkward and out of control. I think for him to succeed, he's going to need to get some work with coaches, working on just becoming more in control and making these types of reads. Right here, it's the same thing. There's 17 seconds on the shot clock. If you don't have your man beat, you don't have to force this shot up. The expected points on that shot are not good at all, and there's so many other things you could do. Right here, Mogbo is going to get the ball again and then clear out a side, but he just brings the ball down and loses it. These are the type of things that I think will be cleaned up after some years in the NBA or the G League, but he just needs to work on becoming more in control. As I mentioned earlier, he was 5'11" in high school, and he's gained a lot of weight and size since then, so he's still learning. Right here, he gets the ball again, but he pushes off, which is a trend he has far too often. Now we're going to look at what I talked about earlier with him settling. This shot right here is not a winning solution. The defense is giving you this shot for a reason. This mid-range, I know it looks open, but his shot is not there. Right here, at the end of the game, when you want to be milking clock, up 14, 2 minutes, this is the worst outcome. Why are you taking this shot? You could have taken another 10 seconds on the shot clock and gotten a better look. Now let's look at him in the pick and roll, and we'll see here, he's a lob threat. It just doesn't finish, but I love seeing how he gets under his man and has an awesome attempt. On this possession, we're going to see Mogbo operate in the short roll. What the short roll is as you see right here, these two guys are on the ball. So Mogbo is going to catch the ball early, put the ball on the floor, and have a nice dunk. On this next possession, Mogbo is once again got to operate in the short roll where he's a great passer. That's a highlight play right there. He catches the ball high, zips a pass, and it's an easy layup. On this next possession, it's going to be more of the same, and this is how he's going to help his team win in the pros. Just a great read and an easy pass. Typically, I don't like guys putting it on the floor, but by him making this dribble, it forced this defender to commit over here, so Mogbo was able to ensure that the guy on the wing was wide open. Just smart, creative playmaking. Right here, he's going to set another screen, get the ball in the short roll. That time the dribble wasn't necessary, but it led to an easy 3. He's also able to once again use the ball screen to seal, get himself in positioning for a post-up. Right here, he's going to set a screen and then seal for an easy layup. He's physical and he's willing to do what he has to help get open. He sets another screen here and then posts up, and when you let him get the ball that low, he just buries you. Right here, Mogbo's once again going to continue to look for the ball in the post. Mogbo is actively hunting the post, seals, and has a nice dunk. This level of competitiveness in looking for the ball in the post is a great skill to have, and you have to fight like that when you're as undersized as he is. Right here, he's looking for the ball in the post, gets it, and then gets into a nice right-handed touch shot. It's a tough shot for him, but it looked good. Right here, what I love seeing is Mogbo making the decision not to force it. He's not getting by his man, so he passes it up, and he gets rewarded with a nice jam. Unfortunately, more often than not, Mogbo is outmatched in the post because of his lack of size. Right here, he's trying to drive on a bigger center, and it just looks like he's dribbling into a wall, and he forces up a really poor shot. On this play, it's another instance of a similar outcome. He gets the ball in the post, now with not as much as a height mismatch, but he's just out of control and just has no touch on the shot. Right here against Portland, it's going to be another instance of him not being the most skilled in the post. He's going to get the ball on the block, but it leads to a charge, as once again, there's too many times where he just feels too rushed and uncomfortable. Once again, settling is a big issue for him, and we're going to see that right here. This is not a winning shot. The defense wants you to take it, and it's too easy. Let's get into the good stuff and watch him with offensive rebounding. Right here, this was just pure fight. He hustles over here, uses his length to get a tip in, second effort, and a nice finish. He's going to play hard. On a DHO right here, he once again gets a nice putback. His arms are long, which helps him a little bit, but so much of his rebounding is his grit. He gets another putback here, but let's look at this. This looks like Aaron Donald using a swim move on this guy right here. Ooh, just get by him. Just pure heart, good fight, and an easy putback. Right here, it's another instance where he fights hard and gets an and one finish. This is the stuff that I love to see. Let's finish off with watching some plays that San Francisco would run for him. Is right here, they're going to set this back screen to have him as a lob threat. And that's what he can do as a lob threat. He's going to get up there. On this next opportunity, he's once again going to succeed with a late lob. And I just put this one in here because it's a highlight. Look at where he's catching the ball right here. One hand over your man, doesn't matter. Put that on SportsCenter, and I promise you, when he gets drafted, you're probably going to see that clip be shown on draft night. Now that we've looked at Mogbo's offense, let's discuss his defense. His first strength is the fact that he is a competitor. As you saw offensively, he's just a gritty player. He's going to work hard, and he's going to do the dirty things. And that's going to allow him to always be an impact player defensively. There may be things held against him, such as his size, but when you fight that much, so much of defense's effort, and it's always going to be on from him. Secondly, he has a really great wingspan with a 7'2" wingspan, even though he's only 6'6". Those long arms are going to hide a lot of his undersized abilities, and they're going to make up for times where he's beat in, let's say, a driving line situation. Having that wingspan is huge for his game. Finally, he's physical and competes in the post and driving line situations. While the fundamentals and footwork might not necessarily be there yet, he's just trying hard, and I love to see it. Unfortunately, there are still some pretty big weaknesses to Jonathan Mogbo's game defensively. The first of which, and it's the elephant in the room, he is going to be an undersized big. I don't see a world in which he would ever be a guard or even play as a 3, and honestly at San Francisco he played the 5 a lot. I don't think that will happen at an NBA level, so he's probably just going to be an undersized 4. However, his lack of size has led to him getting out-muscled at times, and even though he competes really hard, there's just not much that you can do in those situations. Secondly, he's really not great at any pick and roll coverage that is not a switch. A lot of the times when I would see him hedge, he would be late getting back. He isn't tall enough to provide much resistance in drop coverage, so you would never play him there. And I'm not saying that he can't just switch every time. I think that's probably what an NBA team would do with him. But I also think it's worth noting, especially as a big, because you would like to have them have an ability to do an other type of coverage. Let's say you have a guard that you really don't want to switch on to a 4 that Mogbo is guarding. You're not going to really be able to do that because Mogbo can only switch. Finally, I still think he needs to improve his off-ball defense. There's times where he looked a little lackadaisical on off-ball situations, and it led to him necessarily getting clipped or just losing his man. It doesn't happen a lot, but it's something that's worth noting. Now, let's get into the film and watch Jonathan Mogbo defensively. Right here, he's going to guard a guard and then end up switching again. He does an awesome job here in a driving line situation, and look at his length to get the block. His arms are massive. On this possession, it's going to be another driving line instance for Jonathan. Right here, he's guarding on the wing. He first comes over. He's a little late here as the tag man. I'd like to see him be here about a second earlier, but he then comes back and matches up with his man and remains vertical. While he does give up the driving line a little bit, I like his verticality and competitiveness. On this play, Mogbo is not going to be the best communicator in transition. Right here, as you see, no one's really calling out his man. This guy's telling Mogbo to get the ball, but I don't think Mogbo's fully paying attention. He then matches up with his man, but with a very low point of contact. You don't want to do that. You want to be here. You don't want to be at the elbow. And then he gets clipped, but he does an awesome job recovering and getting a nice block. On this situation, Mogbo is going to guard a guard. Right here, now that he's guarding a guard, the guard is going to match up with him and just blow by. I think the main issue is really the low point of contact. I hate seeing this much space because honestly, if this man wanted to, he could probably do like a hard dribble. Jonathan's going to take another step back and pull a 3. I'd like to see Mogbo get more into his man, and the higher point of contact and physicality would help him here. On this possession, it's another instance where Mogbo is beat. Right here, he's guarding his guy. A screen occurs, and then he just gives up the lane. I'd like to see him be a little more physical here, show a little bit more just energy, and stay on his man. Speaking of energy, though, he does compete, and we're going to see that right here. On this post-up opportunity, Mogbo's going to reach around and have a really nice save to keep the ball in play. I love that he's fronting the post and competing and playing hard. Even though he's undersized, we're going to see him right here fight and get a steal in the post. When the ball is thrown into the post, he's going to try his best. We're going to see that right here on this possession where he does a really nice job bodying up. He's playing with his chest and competes without fouling. Unfortunately, sometimes he's just undersized. Right here, his man is going to back him down, clear the side, and Mogbo's in trouble. He just gets bodied here even though he's trying his best. I think sometimes when you're undersized, it can lead to you getting exposed. We're going to see that again here. We just isn't able to impact the guy in the post at all. On this possession, Mogbo is initially going to start off in a drop coverage, and then it clears out into a post opportunity. Mogbo does a decent job staying in front of him, but this shot is uncontested because Mogbo's giving up multiple inches. On this next opportunity, we're going to see Mogbo in a screen situation. Right here, Mogbo is a little late because he's not ready for this slip of the screen right here. Mogbo needs to be better at communicating. Maybe you're trying to bully over, but if you're going to switch here, you need to have this guy up a little higher, and then as soon as he goes, you need to go. Mogbo's a bit late and then doesn't have the best urgency here, getting back, once again speaking to him not always being as engaged off ball. Right here, we're going to see Mogbo in another pick and roll opportunity. The screen is set. Mogbo's coming over almost in between like a high drop or like a soft hedge, and then he comes back up, opens up his feet immediately, and gets beat on the drive. On this next play, it's going to be another instance of Mogbo in the pick and roll. However, he's going to switch. Right here, he switches, and he has a low point of contact, but you can afford that when your arms are this long. What a block. On this next play, we're going to see Mogbo navigate and compete in a ball screen. He goes under, gets clipped, but he fights hard to get back in the play and get a nice block. Now let's watch him in an off-ball situation. Jonathan Mogbo's man right here is this guy. Mogbo is not fully paying attention, not aware, and by the time he is, he's late, and it leads to an open three. While it doesn't go in, I hate seeing this state of realization where he's like, oh, I need to go, and he's just not able to get that contest. On this possession, it's another instance of just a low point of contact. Right here, Mogbo switches, and then he's kind of just ball watching here. Looking right here, doesn't really do anything. He's not swiping, and then he comes back and has an awkward closeout, and it leads to a three. Let's finish off with this clip, which I just wanted to include to show what he can do, and it's a nice transition block. Ooh, what a highlight, and that's just the type of play you're going to see from him. He fights back and gets an awesome block. Jonathan Mogbo's game is extremely exciting and fun to watch. I love seeing someone who's going to play as an undersized big, but helped his team run an offense, pass, facilitate, and then compete and get those types of offensive board highlight plays. A lot of people, when you think of an undersized big that is going to pass and help run an offense, maybe at the 4 spot, you might think of his ceiling, which could be a player like a Draymond Green. Draymond Green isn't able to shoot, isn't necessarily the best at scoring for himself. However, he has enough of a handle to run a delay offense, and he's able to pass, and when you surround him with guys like Steph and Clay, it's going to work out. I don't think that it's possible to give Mogbo the situation that Draymond had, as Draymond literally had the perfect cast around him, and I also am not saying that Mogbo is anywhere near Draymond Green, but I do think he plays like him. So maybe if he gets lucky, he could be a poor man's version of that as his ceiling, and maybe be a fringe starter that you're going to use to run your offense, or a backup guy you put in to do a similar thing and just surround him with shooters. I don't think a team is ever going to be putting him in that situation as a starter, but that's his ceiling. I think a more likely outcome for him is being someone that you bring in as an energy guy, you give 15 minutes a game to, he's going to get others involved and be a nice piece off the bench, and I think that could be exciting for a team to pick that style of player up in the late 50s area of this draft. Unfortunately, he does have a pretty low floor, as for every Draymond Green, there's a dozen Semi Ojeleyes, and I think that he very easily could get washed out of the NBA quickly because he can't shoot and is undersized. If you're not able to do everything else at an extremely high level, being undersized and a non-shooter is a very risky place to be in the NBA. There are very few Bruce Brown type guys that can last at that role, and I also think Jonathan Mogbo could potentially become that, but there's such a high potential for it not to work out, as there's a player like this that comes along all the time, but very few succeed. Overall, when looking at where I draft him, I would be more than willing to take a flyer on him as high as like 50, maybe even the late 40s, but I also would not be shocked if because of these concerns he is undrafted, although I would be a little surprised. A lot of mocks here have him in the 40s. I think that might be reaching a little bit, going to the early 40s to get him with some of the safer picks available, but if you want to go for a boom or bust player, I totally understand it. Overall, that's my take, and thanks for watching another episode of The Rim Review.